If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please subscribe now. Click the bell icon next to it and select all to ensure you don't miss any of my latest videos. Are we in reality now? Okay, we are experiencing something. Now you are experiencing this video. Maybe after watching this video, you will experience something else at home or in the office, college or school. So instead of questioning whether this is reality or not, it would be better to question what is reality. That is, everything we see with our eyes, everything we experience, and why is everything in this universe artificially created? Those who believe in simulation theory will say that this is all a creation created by others. Simulation, so other people created this world and put us in it, and they believe that they have programmed us with what to do, how to do it, how our lives will change, and in fact they say that there is evidence for it. So today in this video, let's learn about that simulation theory and the evidence for it in detail. So why not? Let's get into the video. Basically, the idea that the universe is a simulation is nothing new. There have been theories about it since ancient times. Even ancient cultures have been mentioning it. However, the modern simulation theory first came to the world from a philosopher named Nick Bostrom. He was a philosopher from Oxford University. He wrote an influential paper on this subject in 2003. What he said in it was that he said that it seems like we are living in a simulation, and I will tell you a simulation trial for you. He made 3 points and said that in that mood, this is definitely going to come true. The first point is that we destroy our universe or our world and create a new simulation before that and go completely into it. Option number 2 is that we can create a simulation, but we don't, because right now the simulation we are living in is good for us and we don't want a new simulation. And number 3 is we are definitely in a simulation. That is, we are definitely in a simulation. But what does Bostrom believe? These 3 are possible. He says that basically, now, in simple terms, we are using computer models to study the human population, we are predicting the weather, and that is also for entertainment. We are simulating everything. When a civilization is able to create a realistic simulation, then automatically something like that must have happened in their early existence. Bast calls it ancestral simulation. And a civilization doesn't just create one simulation. It creates many simulations. And in those simulations, other simulations are created. So within a civilization, simulated civilizations are created. And their own universe forms. And within that, some simulations form. So basically, some people say, let's say we invent a computer. Now, let's say we want to create a new world inside that computer. In my computer, and the world in that creates another world. And that world is another world. It keeps creating, so simulations keep going forward, they never stop. Elon Musk was once asked about this. Are we in base reality or simulated reality? Base reality means the first reality. Reality means the reality of simulations that automatically emerged from the first reality and then created. So, if you ask Elon Musk whether we are in base reality or simulated reality, what he said is that the chance of us being in base reality is 1 in billions, that is, 1 in a billion percentage, so 000 and so on. And then, somewhere at the end, a 1 comes, and that percentage is the only chance that we are in base reality. It is not 100%, not even 50%. So, he said that we are in simulated reality. And Neil deGrasse is another Tyson. There is a conservative person who said that the chance of us being in base reality is 50% and the chance of being in simulated reality is 50%. So even if it is 50%, it is still a big deal. It means that everything we experience is artificial. If it is proven that 50% of it is artificial, then it is also a big deal. Scientists do not think much about this because simulation theory is not a scientific theory. Simulation theory is not math. Simulation theory is philosophy. It is not physics. It is metaphysics. So we need hard evidence here to say that we are living in a simulation. So if we want to find proof, what we need to do is to observe everything that is happening in detail. So let's talk about the beginning of the universe. Initially, there was no space or time in the universe. Whatever was in the entire universe was the size of a small tennis ball and had a temperature of 1 trillion degrees. And suddenly, the Big Bang happened. Everything exploded and spread very, very quickly. Everything cooled down at the speed of light. About 14 billion years later, we have the galaxies, planets, ice cream, biryani with thumbs up that we see now. All of these things are there. Of course, don't drink too much of biryani with thumbs up because it's not good. So drink it only occasionally. Okay, now let's get to the main topic. Right now, all of these things are there, but in the past, none of these things existed. Even before the Big Bang, there was no space or time. What else was there before this universe was created? What if it comes to the religious point of view? everyone believes that God created this entire universe, and the question of where God was before that comes up, and the kind of question of how God created it also comes up. Even if you look at it from a religious point of view, some physicists say that before this universe there was a quantum foam, that there was dark energy, or that there was something like the elementary material that was needed for the Big Bang to happen, but they are not able to give an exact solid answer or solid proof for that either. Therefore, no one has an answer to the question of what was there before this universe was formed. So some people say that someone in another universe suddenly tried to reboot a program, and that program is our program, and the things in our universe, they say that all laws work based on that program, that is, electromagnetism, gravitational force, all of these are written in that program. They say that the speed of light also has a program according to which the light moves. They also say that Planck's constants of mass, speed, time, all these are also programmed. Since when has Avogadro's number existed? There are many rules in it, and they say that all of them are also part of the program made in this universe. They say that even consciousness, that is, whatever consciousness we have, is also part of the simulation. They say that you may have never heard of simulation theory before, but it has spread very, very much all over the world. Some world-famous scientists, technologists, philosophers, all of them also believe in this simulation theory. We all say that we live in an artificial reality, but how can we prove it? Now, if we live in an artificial reality, we will have some glitches from time to time. One of the most influential science fiction writers is Philip K. Dick. He wrote many books, and many movies were based on those books. Blade Runner, Total Recall, Minority Report, The Adjustment Bureau, etc. Many movies were based on his books. And what he believed was that there are many universes in this universe, and sometimes those universes collide with each other. So then the realities are mixed with each other. What he said was that he had some visions of these realities mixing many times. In fact, he even wrote some stories based on them. He wrote a book called Like Man in the High Castle. He wrote something based on these visions, and what he says is that there are plural realities, and that is 100% true, and that they are imposed on each other, and that there are many transparencies in them, but they say that we cannot notice them, and that realities sometimes bend and blend with others. This means that we feel like one reality is happening, but what is actually happening is a different reality, and we never have the opportunity to notice that original reality unless and until the people in that reality give us permission to notice. An example for this is the Mandela effect. The Mandela effect means that many people in this world remember many events in a way, that is, the majority of the people in the whole world believe that they happened that way, but if it really happened then it is not. So this is Mandela. It's called the effect because many people believe that Nelson Mandela died in prison, but in fact he didn't die in prison. And many people remember his wife walking by his grave, but that didn't actually happen. And many people believe that his funeral procession was telecast on television for 2 hours, but it didn't really happen. So that's why it's called the Mandela effect. Basically, there are many examples of this. For example, there's a company called Berenstain Bears, and everyone believes that it's Berenstain Bears, but Berenstain Bears is real. In fact, there's a tycoon in Monopoly, and everyone believes that he has a monocle, but in fact he doesn't. And everyone believes that the famous Darth Vader character said something, that is, they believe that Luke said, "I am your father," but in fact that character didn't say that. In Western countries, many people believe that Stauffer stovetop stuffing is the best part of Thanksgiving, but in fact there is no such product in the market. Stovetop is made by Kraft. And everyone believes that the evil queen in Snow White looks into the mirror and says, "Mirror, mirror on the wall." But what she says is, "Magic mirror on the wall." And who is the fairest one of all? That's a different story. But I'm telling you, people believe differently. What happens there is different. Similarly, many people believe that there are 2 brands of fabric, but there is only one. Similarly, everyone remembers that there is only one Jiffy peanut butter, but there is no such product. There are many such products in this world. Basically, when I read about all of them many times, I also have false memories about some of them. Now, for example, there is a show called Flintstones that basically has 2 T's, but I only remember 1 T. Similarly, if you look at the Fruit of the Loom logo, I have seen it in many places as if there is a basket behind it. So that seems to be true. But in reality, there is no basket anywhere in that Fruit of the Loom logo. But it is a reality that I saw and understood. But the truth there is different. So it is completely different. Similarly, in a James Wan movie, I remember that Jaw's girlfriend has braces, but in reality she doesn't have braces. So reality is different. What we understand is different and we believe it to be reality, but in reality it is not reality. In fact, no matter how much we try, our brain still doesn't accept it. We believe what we saw before is true. Even if the proofs are shown later, so it is the same burning effect. Millions of people around the world are affected by this, so they remember different things in a wrong way, but the truth is different. So this is a glitch in the simulation. Philip K. Dick also said something else, that is, if we experience a day job, it is also a glitch in this simulation. That is, if something has already happened in our simulated universe, then a mistake has been made in it. To correct that mistake, the same situation is repeated again in a different timeline. So we think that we have seen the same situation before and we are seeing it again now, but the situation that happened before has a small change. That change has also been programmed in. So a mistake happened before, so now it has been corrected, and when that correction is made, we experience a day job because that situation we feel like we have seen it before, and we feel like we have already seen the person we see now, but now that person must have a different meaning for us to see. So there must be a slight difference. So he is saying that. So we lived in a moment, but in that moment, a mistake was made, so that moment is made to happen to us again. So, to prevent us from making that mistake this time, all this is the process that is happening when our simulation corrects itself and gives us new information. That is, skeptics can easily dismiss this because the human mind is unreliable. So, they say that we should not accept such things. We should believe only if there is some evidence. If there is no evidence, we should not believe at all. But this whole story does not end here. We live in a big universe, about 200 billion. There are trillions of stars, of course, but life is rare, but there is definitely life somewhere in the billions of trillions of planets in this universe. The Fermi Paradox tells us about it, and what the Drake equation tells us about this is that there is a chance that there are a million technologically advanced civilizations in our universe, in our galaxy. And on average, we are only a few hundred light years away from an advanced civilization. But we can't see it. But just because we can't see it doesn't mean there aren't advanced civilizations out there. So this Fermi Paradox could be, or this Drake equation could be. What these two are saying is that we are not alone in this universe, and whatever this program is, it doesn't focus only on us. These physical rules are everywhere. They say that they are being applied. Basically, there is a cosmologist named Maths Tegmark. He is a person from MIT. He studies a lot about these laws of physics. What he says is that all this seems to be in a simulation very clearly because the speed of light is in a very perfect way. Now, light is reaching us without any problems, and it is giving us light all day long without giving us any trouble, and when it is night, it gets dark, so we have to sleep. So all this is also running in a very perfect way. Apart from that, if light comes very fast and touches the Earth, then due to that, many thousands of particles are created on the Earth every day. But instead of that happening, everything is happening simply normally. So all this is also a simulation. Similarly, a person named James Gates, who is a physicist, also said about the simulation theory that basically he is talking about electrons on quarks. While studying all this, he noticed an error. That is, there are equations everywhere, and if we dig into all those equations in detail, we see numbers in all of them. That is, a computer code is visible and it can be written anywhere in the cosmos. That equation is that computer code, and using it, we can also describe the entire cosmos. So that computer code runs the entire world. So strings of bits of ones and zeros run this universe. So a code, a program, is ruling this world. And if such a code can be written perfectly, then creating a simulation is not that difficult. But he made it very clear. In 2017, some scientists from the University of Washington did a research. They tried to enter a computer code into the stance. Then they noticed everything in this universe is a max-A. Now, if we take the Fibonacci sequence as an example, if we add any two previous numbers, we get the Fibonacci sequence. Now, 1 plus 1 is equal to 2, 2 plus 1 is equal to 3, 3 plus 2 is equal to 5, and 5 plus 3 is equal to 8, 8 plus 5 is equal to 13. Keeps going and going. Wherever we look, we get the golden ratio. So they call it 5. Actually, if we take two consecutive Fibonacci numbers, for example, 89 is a number, and the next number in the sequence is 144. If we take these two and divide them, we get 144/89, and that is the golden ratio. So, we call the Fibonacci numbers the golden ratio. We see it everywhere in this universe. For example, if we look at the petals on a flower, we see it in the Fibonacci number. Lilies have 3 petals, buttercups have 5, chicory has 21, daisy has 34, and the spacing between those petals and the formation of that circle. All this is again seen in the golden ratio. All trees also grow, right? After they grow, the number of branches they have is also seen in the Fibonacci number. Not only plants, but animals also follow the Fibonacci number in the golden ratio. Now, do you know the ratio of female honeybees to male honeybees? In a colony, the golden ratio is 16:18. And similarly, in the human body, most of the body follows these Fibonacci numbers. Like 1, 2, 3, 5. Now, 1 nose, 2 eyes, 3 limbs. Segments, 5 fingers, 5 toes, and most of the proportions in our body, such as the length of our shoulder compared to the length of our elbow, and the distance from our elbow to the tips of our fingers, all of these are in the golden ratio. Even DNA molecules are not 31 angstroms long, they are 21 angstroms wide, and these are both Fibonacci numbers. If we divide these, we get the golden ratio again. It could be a spiral of seashells, it could be a spiral of a galaxy. We see Fibonacci numbers in everything, and we see the golden ratio. So some people say that this is just a coincidence. Humans, look for patterns in everything and get confused about it. But some people say that no, this is all programmed. This is all part of simulation theory and it is a search for it. They are saying that this is all part of the program. So basically, this seems very, very interesting. In fact, many people have tried to debug this simulation theory, that is, to refute it as not true and false. They have proven it to be true. Actually, now it could be a matter of the size of a galaxy or the size of an electron. Because even if you look at it, this universe follows a pattern, it follows a rule. At that time, they proved that this universe follows a pattern. So, let's prove that they are false. And then, automatically, all this also falls under the simulation theory. So let's prove that it is false. And it has been proven that it is true. But one thing is, if we want to simulate an entire universe, we need very, very advanced technology. But right now we don't have it. But that doesn't mean that we can never do it. So here's where Moore's law comes in. It is very useful. What is Moore's law? It says that computing power doubles every 18 months. If you look at it for the past 50 years, it has really been happening. If not, it has slowed down a bit now because of physical limitations. It can still happen now. But we have some limitations. So this problem arises. For example, we have the possibility of making microchips smaller. In the future, an artificial intelligence can completely surpass human intelligence within the next 100 years. Elon Musk has mentioned this many times. In fact, he said that when he was young, the most advanced video game in the world was Pong. It had 2 rectangles. It looked like there were very, very minimal graphics on the screen. But now, 40 years later, look at how advanced video game technology has become. The difference between real reality and video games is that we will not be able to find out. In fact, 6 years ago, it has completely changed. Video game engines have become very realistic. The footage looks very real. Now there is a game called Unreal Engine 5 that looks very real. In it, cars moving, people moving, everything looks very realistic. Chasing scenes, accident scenes, everything looks the same. So what will reality games be like in the future? In the next 6 years, or in the next 60 years, or in the next 600 years, or in the next 6,000 years, everything will change. So simulating the entire universe is not a big problem. So for a computer, it can be said that this is a very, very easy task. In the future, according to an estimate, there are 10 to the power of 80 atoms in this universe, which means that the universe exists because of all of them. We are in the universe, the cars around us, the mobile phones, all this, everything happens because of atoms. So 10 followed by 80 zeros means that you understand how huge that number is. It is very, very big. It is very difficult to even say it in a simple word. But let's say that each atom needs 128 bits of energy. That is, we need that much energy to decide its position, its momentum, all these exactly. Then we need a total of 10 to the power of 83 bits of energy. And that is just for data storage. And again, if we want to keep track of all of them, we need extra computing power because each particle is doing different things. And while each particle is doing one thing, another particle is doing another thing. So we also need to monitor all of these. So for 10 to the power of 83, you have to give double the energy, so it is very, very difficult to do that. And all this is just to create the stuff in the universe. And what is the state of human intelligence? What is the state of the human brain? Basically, the human brain can do 100 trillion calculations per second. To put it simply, it can do 100 teraflops. And if you multiply that by 8 billion people, no one can even explain the numbers that come up. So then we will definitely need a few thousand million Dyson spheres. These Dyson spheres are megastructures. Each one can store the energy of 100 stars. So only if we have such a huge amount of energy can we manipulate or simulate all this, or else we have to harness the energy even from a black hole, so all that is possible. It's not possible, right? So that's why some famous physicists like Michio Kaku say that this simulation theory is not that easy. In fact, it is not scientifically possible. Basically, a computer can simulate a universe, that is, it can only do it within its limits. Initially, all this seems true to us. When we hear all this, now, but with all respect to Mr. Doc, simulations don't work out like that. Now, for example, let's say you are playing a 3D video game. The entire game is not rendered at once. The game is rendered only based on where you are playing in the game, what place you are playing in, and what the player is looking at and what he is interacting with. Now, for example, at that specific moment, you are in a simulation and that simulation only renders what you see. Now, for example, let's say we are playing PUBG Yo BGMIO, let's say we are playing, there are apartments and school buildings, let's say we are landing on them, or let's say we are landing on containers somewhere. When we come down, the buildings look a little clearer. When we land completely on the building, it looks like a normal building. Then we find a sniper there. Let's say we find that sniper with 8x. Let's say we are looking at the Pochinki. Can't we see the Pochinki? The buildings in the distance only look a little normal, except if they are exactly detailed. Why do we only render them up to that point? When we get closer, they appear even more detailed. So in a simulation, unless we only render what we see, we don't render the entire world. If we do that, it will still be very difficult, but rendering is done like this. So in our simulation world, many people believe that it happens the same way, but there are some complications in this too. Some people say that if this is really happening in reality, how can we decide that our eyes have so many megapixels that we can see things that are far away? So, can we change it? Can we make our eyes see completely differently? Some people say that technology is being added to it. But instead of that, they say that the entire change should come directly to the eyes. That is, if you put glasses on your eyes, you will not see something better. They say that the eyes should change completely. So, they say that there are things like laser treatments for that. But when they say that, it is not like that. They say that our eyes should change through a computer code because it is a simulation. So, some debates like this are happening because some people accept the simulation theory and some people do not accept the simulation theory. However, some scientists have tried to prove this and say that they tried to prove that reality is a lie and prove that artificial reality is true through a very big test called the double-slit experiment. If you put a slit on a screen and fire some articles at it, if they all go in a straight line, if they all go through a single slit and go to the other side, we can expect a clumping pattern there. Similarly, if you create a slit and put water on the other side and create waves on them, all those waves are created normally and they do not change anything when they go to the other side. But when we put a double slit, that is, we create a second slit, that is where the real fun begins. What happens in that double slit is that each slit is creating its own wave and the two new waves created by those two slits intersect with each other and they cancel each other out and create a new pattern. This pattern is called an interference pattern. So when particles pass through two slits, they create clumping patterns. After they go there, they create an interference pattern and create multiple patterns instead of two patterns. Now, for example, let's say we fire electrons through that slit. So after we go beyond that, if we have a single slit, we see a clumping pattern. Okay, we put two slits. When we put two slits, we should see only two clumping patterns there, right? But not here, but there, 6 or 7 clumping patterns are seen. Why are there? An interference pattern happens, so shouldn't it? So scientists researched this for many years and finally they understood that these electrons were colliding with each other and creating a wave pattern. But in 1960 they modified this experiment a little. What they did was fire an electron from one slit once and then started firing another electron from the second slit. But they thought that if they did this, the electrons wouldn't interact, but they still interacted and even then the interference pattern was created. So scientists didn't understand this. So what they thought was what to do was add a detector. They wanted to know how these electrons react and interact after passing. When they tried to find out, the situation that had been science until then turned into a paranormal situation, meaning something was going on. Everyone felt like they had seen it. So when they put an observer or detector to understand the interference pattern, the clumping pattern came back. Now, even if they send it through two slits, two clumping patterns are seen. No interference pattern is created there. Similarly, even if they send water, the waves go there normally, but no interference pattern is created. So what is it that no one understands? Earlier, when they put two slits, a different result came out. Now, when they put a detector and an observer, why did the normal pattern come back? The same pattern that came before? So, they understand that they are being observed. Those electrons and those particles clearly understand that they are being observed. After knowing that they are being observed, they start behaving normally. A person named John Wheeler, a physicist, came up with an idea about this. He came up with the delayed choice experiment, which means what he said is basically, first project the photons, after projecting they will reach the double slit, right? Don't turn on the detector or observer until they reach and pass them. But once they have an impact, that is, after they have passed those slits and moved forward, then turn on the detector or observer. Then we will understand how they are moving. So basically, before turning on the detector or observer, when we did the double-slit experiment, they went to the other side, created an interference pattern, and once the observer was turned on, the old pattern came back immediately, it stopped splitting again, the interference pattern stopped, there was only a clumping pattern. So before the observer was turned on, they were acting like waves. After the observer is turned on, they act like particles, so suddenly they change their decision, that is, they travel back in time, so they change what has already happened. That is, everything is repeating itself from the beginning, but this time they change everything in a way that we do not know about them, that is, this is a kind of time travel. So after seeing this experiment, scientists started to believe even more strongly that we live in a very good high-quality simulation world. Now, for example, if this experiment is happening on a table in a lab, if it is happening at a short distance, we will see this result, but if it is happening in this universe, if it is happening due to light coming from the universe, if all this is happening from some galaxy 100 million light years away, can we find it? And since it is a double-split experiment, if it is happening there, then the interference pattern, if it is being created automatically, if we are preventing them from being observed, and if we observe them they go back to their source, that is, travel back in time, go back and come forward again in a way that we do not understand, then this is basically called retrocausality in science, which means that we cannot observe photons, ever. If we observe, what we see is not true, what we see is only a lie, and to make it difficult for us to understand, how big a deal is it to travel back 100 million years, change again and come back here again? So basically, it is not that easy to understand all of this, that is why no one can fully decode the simulation theory. But one thing is for sure, we are not alone in this universe. Certainly not only on Earth, there is life in many other places, and among those beings there are beings with highly advanced technology than us. We may have had very amazing technology, but there may have been civilizations that were 100 times more developed than us, and they may have had much more resources, and they may have traveled faster than light, and they may have known about us completely, and they may have created a simulation and created us all. It could be this double-state experiment that we do in quantum mechanics, it could be quantum entanglement. What all this is saying is that this is all a program, and the world is running according to the rules of that program. If not, then sometimes some people can avoid that program, those laws, the laws of physics, they can even avoid the concept of time. If not, then it is not those who are in this simulation, but only those who created the simulation can overcome all of that. So a big advantage with this simulation theory is that we do not have it. So what happened before the Big Bang, what was there in the universe? That is, there is no space, no time, nothing when the question of what else is there comes up. There is already another civilization, and it is an advanced civilization that we do not know, and this universe was born in the simulation that they created. However, many people strongly believe that God exists in that civilization. Many scientists also believe that there is a God. So how are these aliens, VFOs, all of them coming to Earth? How are they violating these laws of physics? In fact, they can do it because they created and operate it, so they do not need to follow the rules and laws. However, who created the simulation and where they are still remains an unanswered question. But one fact is, whoever created the simulation is the creator. The intelligence they have is omniscient intelligence, which means that no one has such a kind of intelligence. Even after 100,000 years, we will not get that kind of intelligence. And it took us a long time to understand space-time. It is many thousands of times higher than this. The intelligence of the creator of that simulation. So when we hear all this, what do we feel? We feel like we are talking about God. So it also feels like God created all this. But there is a process to create it. There is a program. And that program, that process, we may never understand both of these. In fact, many of those who believe in this simulation theory are also atheists. That is, many people in Western countries do not believe in God. They also believe in this simulation theory because this simulation theory is so solid. So it seems that if the simulation theory is true, then the point is coming that God is also true, and some people are finally accepting it. So this is such a solid theory. Some people say that there is a karmic result, that is, we have to experience the karma we have done, and they are responsible for whose karma they are. But that karmic result is also given to us through this program. Whatever we do, what kind of response we should get after doing that work, what kind of situations we should face, all this is pre-programmed. So they believe that all this is a part of simulated reality. So anyway, this simulated theory remains a mystery. There are always debates going on between faith and science, but simulation theory is trying to bring the two together. So let's see if in the future someone will find the exact answer to this simulated theory. For now, this is an unsolved mystery. That's it, guys. Thanks for watching the video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Haven't subscribed yet? Click that red subscribe button and hit the bell icon for notifications so you never miss a single upload. Many of you are watching, but not everyone is subscribed. Please consider joining the community. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you in the next one.